All right, the question this Saturday morning, should you hunt or gather your food? I have a really kind of a funny story. Well, maybe not, depending on what kind of an animal lover you are. And if you hear of beautiful birds in the background, it's because, and there's no props, these are actually real birds. They are chirping. You hear that? They're chirping left and right. And we know birds are gatherers, right? Hey, welcome to a Saturday Daily Dose. And my name is Mark Avens. I'm your bulletproof Christian fitness mentor. We're on 390 right now, episode 390, going strong. I hope you're doing well. Got your coffee? Go grab your coffee. We're going to have a daily dose. And the question of the day is, should you hunt or gather your food? Now, I have a funny story. It literally just happened yesterday. So I hope you enjoy my stories. And if you do, all I ask is if you found this valuable, you know how this works. If I want to get this out to as many people as possible. So if you could just share it, comment, like, love, so forth. If you don't like it, that's cool. Maybe this is your very first time. Welcome if it is. If you are a hunter or a gatherer, this is going to be a quick story, but a funny story. So here we are now. Now we're like, it's residential, right? We're by the beach. We live in a neighborhood. Our backyard, you see, it's fenced off back there, and we have birds and all kinds of, sometimes we get fish. I got a cardinal right up on the tree there, and we have even some bird feeders you see in the back. I don't know if you can see that right there. There's a bird feeder. And the unfortunate thing is, not only do we feed the birds, we feed all these squirrels back here, right? And we know birds and even squirrels, they're these gatherers, right? And it made me think, when what happened yesterday happened, and bear with me because this is actually kind of a funny story. So you also know we have Owen, right? And we know he doesn't like squirrels, right? In fact, he's not out here right now. And if he was, he'd be chasing down, the squirrels would be hiding in the tree waiting for him to go back inside. And so Owen sits. So we know that the birds and the squirrels are gatherers. Like they gather their nuts and they gather their seeds and they go to the bird feeder. Now we feed them, and they're just pretty much, the squirrels are like, they're kind of funny because they'll literally just stuff their faces, because we really have bird feeders, but the squirrels eat the bird feeders. If you have them, you know that the squirrels come around and they eat everything if they can. And these feeders, they say they're squirrel proof. They're not. It's so funny. None of them are. I don't know what you need to do. Put a little electric shock on them so they can't climb up the thing. I don't know. That would be cruel punishment. Don't worry. Don't call the animal services on me. Okay, you're especially not going to probably maybe not call them on me when I tell you the story. So we have Owen now, our ridge pit. Now, if you know anything about ridgebacks, they are lion hunters. So he's got ridgeback and pit bull in him. So he's a hunter. Like, he hunts. Now, he's a lion hunter. And while he doesn't have any lions in the backyard, he likes to think that the squirrels are like lions. And he doesn't have a pack, like the pack of dogs would hunt the lion. And that's, at least if you've ever looked up to the background of ridgebacks. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you're not a geek like me. So I looked it up a while ago. And he's part ridge and part pit. So he would sit out here and he'd look from the mirror and he'd chase down. And the squirrels would run up. You see the palm trees over here? They would run down, they'd jump down and run up the palm trees. And he is fast, but the squirrels, they kind of know and they kind of sense and that. But every once in a while, Owen gets lucky, and he got lucky, and I didn't even know. Here we were in the backyard, and we have these little toys. If you have a dog, you have these toys in the backyard. Little your dog has one maybe inside, and they chew on these little chew toys. And yesterday afternoon, my wife and I were looking, and he was sitting in the back, and he just was like, you could see he was just happy, and his tail was sort of wagging, and his face was all like, I didn't know, it was like he was faced away from us, but I was like, did we get him a new toy? I was thinking to myself for a moment, and they're like, no, because we saw the one, I'm looking at it right now. He does like a little elephant giraffe thingy. I don't know, it's like a stuffed toy that he chews on and we throw and play. And I'm looking at it like, did he get a new toy? Nope. He got a squirrel. That was the second or third squirrel he got. I think it was the third one since we've had him. And one technically fell out of the tree. So why am I sharing that with you? Why is it important? Should you be a hunter or a gatherer? And I was thinking for a minute, I was thinking about the birds. Birds don't usually have to worry. In fact, you hear the birds, they're not worried now. They know our house is just one resource for food as far as the feeders, but they can find, like, God provides them with birds don't have to worry about what they eat for them. I don't even think squirrels do either, but if they have access, they're going to eat our food, right? It's easy for them. And then I think about us as humans, and when we used to be probably more hunting in the mindset of hunters rather than gatherers. Is now we just, as humans and just our convenience, we're just a bunch of gatherers, right? Whether you order your food online, whether you go to a grocery store, you gather, right? Gather, and then hurricane season, oh, you better hunker down. You better get your supplies. You better get all those snacks and all the booze and all the food, right? And you go to the store and you get kind of lured into buying more and more food. You buy more and more snacks. Everything's bigger, larger. Why not? Why not? Just feed us. And I kind of feel like a squirrel. But guess what happened to the squirrel? He got hunted. He got hunted down. And it made me think of just this whole thing when it comes to trying to get on being the health and fitness minded coach and having to work with a lot of people who struggle with food. Like food becomes an addiction, right? We have the emotional attachment, whether it be stress related or something other related. There's this attachment. The problem is we don't have to go hunt for our food. For the most part, most of us here, maybe you live out in the boonies, maybe you live out in the country and you do hunt. That's awesome, right? I even grew up on a farm and we didn't my dad hunted a little bit, but we had farm animals, right? So we had the animals there and we able to have that food. But way back, you think we started to hunt for our food and then maybe even gather, but it took effort, it took work. Nowadays, there's no effort in work. You literally can just, after you're done with this, listening to the Daily Dose, you can just type in what you want to order and it'll be delivered to your house. There's no effort really, aside from just, clicking on a button. And it's almost the epitome of like, what do you think of the world in maybe the next 20 years? It's kind of like that movie, WALL-E. I don't know if you ever saw that movie WALL-E. It made me think when that happened, when it's like the world, how everything's kind of, there's no green anymore and people are living on spaceships and everything's ordered and everybody's overweight and unhealthy and away from each other for the most part. Everybody's distance is kind of making me think of that's where we're headed. But in a sense of hunting versus gathering, it made me think of like, we maybe need to just start being more of a hunter. In other words, make it more challenging for us. And that could be not obviously going and killing squirrels, maybe squirrels too, or maybe killing animals for your food. I'm talking, and you may not even be a meat eater. That's cool. That's fine. But maybe it's just in thinking, okay, make it a little bit more challenging for yourself. Now, Owen, he got that squirrel. Now, did we let him eat it? No, because I don't know what's in a squirrel. Who knows where that squirrel's been, right? So unfortunately, he was pleased. He got the squirrel, and that was his third one, and he was happy. But you think of like, he was pleased more of the pursuit to get that squirrel, and he got it, right? And then he got it. And you think of when you maybe think about your food and your relationship with food, whether you're a hunter or gatherer, most of us are gatherers, right? Is thinking about making it a little bit more of an effort, right? Thinking about the time it takes if it's preparing meal or instead of just going through a drive-through, the convenience. Maybe the big challenge for people when it comes to losing weight and getting on a healthier path is that we have it just too convenient for us. Like it even became more convenient. You're like, no, Mark, the pandemic and the lockdowns and all that stuff made it even harder. No, it honestly made us even lazier. And here's what I mean. You had food started to deliver. Like all these grocery stores, well, some of them were already delivering, so it didn't really matter. We were already on the verge of that. But I know there's certain things that I don't even go to the store for anymore. I just have it delivered. Like, for instance, pet food. We would go to the store for pet food. We just order it now. It comes to us. I don't even have to get in my car and go to the pet store to get the dog food. It literally comes and ships. And I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. It's making me feel like it's like for my dog, it's kind of like the squirrel feeder that the bird feeder, that the bird food is just sitting out there, in abundance. And it's interesting because the birds, while I see them, and there's one looking at me right now, a red cardinal. I hope he flies. I think he's waiting for me to move so he can get some food. He's staring right at me right now. I'm gonna see. Oh, there he is up on a tree. Let me see. I'm gonna bring this down and show you. Like I said, literally. Let's see if you can see him. Oh, there he goes. You see him? Oh, there he goes. Let's see if you can see him. See him right there? I know you can see him. See the little red cardinal? Isn't that pretty? I don't know what he's eating right now. Maybe he's eating a worm. I don't think he's eating a squirrel right now. Pretty cool though, right? Look at that beautiful red cardinal. He's looking right. I think he's probably got a worm. He looks like he's eating something. Oh yeah, he's got a worm. Look. So I guess the red cardinals aren't just gatherers. They're hunters too. He hunted himself a worm and got it. So that's my question to you. Do you think maybe when it comes to your food, and now it's the weekend, right? And don't get me wrong, like go out and enjoy life and all that stuff, but maybe the challenge and the relationship you have with food is because it's just too convenient. Food is just too convenient. Now, my dog, Owen, even though he gets fed twice a day, he's a domesticated dog, right? It didn't stop him from hunting that squirrel. And maybe if you can get in touch with, like, maybe I say hunting your food, and I can say, let's just bring it down to the bare bones. Hunting maybe just maybe cooking food again, getting back into the kitchen and starting to prepare some foods. Like, we make meal prep, like this whole elaborate plan, and we got to plan ahead, all that. That's what people had to do before. Maybe they didn't plan and put things in Tupperware back in the day, in the caveman days, but they had to hunt for their food, right? Even they maybe gather, but they had to do some work. It took effort. It took effort getting the food. We have another bird somewhere around here. I don't know where he is. He's really loud right now. But that's just my thoughts for today. Hunting versus gathering food, and maybe something just to think about over the weekend as you go about, or maybe in your pursuit to getting in a healthier lifestyle. And listen, I don't have all the answers, but I hope this one found you well. I hope this maybe gave you a little bit of insight when it comes to weight loss, the over convenience of the access that we have to food. And if you have that, maybe it's time to make it less accessible. Maybe it's time that you look and say, hey, maybe next month I'm not going to go out to eat. I'm not going to go through drive-through. I'm not going to make it super convenient. In fact, I'm not going to eat processed. I'm not going to eat the packaged food. I'm not going to be like the squirrel that gathered. And here's what I think is, maybe you don't have an Owen that's hunting you down, but maybe your lack of health, and maybe your lack of your poor choices and your lack of good choices is, so to speak, setting yourself up to get attacked by maybe not an Owen, but something else, maybe by a disease, maybe by having to go on medication, maybe by having to have knee replacement, maybe to having back pain, maybe to having other kind of problems, maybe even being depressed, being anxious, being scared, being stressed out. Like, all those things, those are like little Owens that are coming to attack you, and they will get you, right? And they will kill you sooner or later. So that's my thoughts for today. I hope this found you well, and I hope you have an amazing weekend. Take care and God bless.